Holy moly, Dave. What a Western Conference final we have on our hands after game one. It was a goal fest, an absolute goal fest, and it was everything that we expected, and probably a little bit more. Avalanche taking game one by a score of 8-6. We'll break it down, talk about some of the controversy surrounding the onside offside goal call from Cale Makar late in the first period. And then we're also going to play some cosign, no sign. Got a couple interesting Maple Leafs related cosign, no signs for you that I can't wait to get to. All of that and more on today's edition of Locked On Leafs.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Leafs podcast, your one-stop shop for all things Leafs. I'm your host, Mike DiStefano from TSN 1050 Toronto Radio, also known as Al's brother on TSN's Overdrive and TSN 1050's Leafs Lunch. Joining me is my co-host, Dave Morassutti from Sportsnet, also a writer for the NHL PA. Locked On Leafs is a daily Maple Leaf-centric podcast, so be sure to subscribe for free wherever you get your podcast from. If you haven't already, you can now check us out also on YouTube as our road to 1,000 subs continues. We're inching closer to 900, Dave. So we're close to 900, but we got to get to 1,000 so we can give one of you guys a jersey. So if this is your first time listening, go ahead, sub up, and enter yourself in the running to win yourself a Toronto Maple Leafs jersey once we hit 1,000 subs, and share it to friends, because the quicker we get there, the quicker you have a chance to win a jersey. All right, we got a couple of things that we got to get to today. Obviously, and not too much Leafs news that's going on. We've hit kind of the dull period where it's just a lot of speculation, and no one wants to make moves as the conference finals and the Stanley Cup final heats up. So the next couple weeks, I'm sure we'll spend some time noting whatever happens in Leafland. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about the Stanley Cup final as well, and that's what a majority of our conversation is going to dominate today. But we are going to play some cosign, no sign in a little bit, and I got a couple Leafs related questions for you there. So we'll still get that Leafs chat in, because this is, of course, Locked On Leafs. But Dave, the Avalanche defeating the Edmonton Oilers 8-6. They take game one. Cale Makar was an absolute beast with 4 points. Nathan MacKinnon had a nice rip. Kadri scored. Hyman scored. McDavid a 3-point night. All four goalies got into this game. There was a controversial goal call. It really had it all and just absolutely lived up to expectations, didn't it?
No, it really did. It was looking like as soon as Evander Kane opened the scoring, and then not too long after the Avalanche responded, I'm just like, "Yep, it's gonna be one of those games." We knew right away that was gonna happen.
Yeah.
And we got if you were surprised by what you saw in game one, you haven't been watching the Oilers play at all this playoffs.
Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely. You go look at the first series, but more importantly, the second series and how high scoring those games were. Safe to say, if you are making some wagers at Bet Online, you might be safe with some overs here in the cup. I know I made a little bit of change today. I had a decent parlay. I had McDavid to score a goal. I did a little bet builder. McDavid to score a goal, the Avalanche to win, and then over 7 goals. I was sweating it out towards the end because this was a 7-4 hockey game after 2 periods, and I'm basically sitting there. McDavid had already scored. They had already gone over the total, and I'm like, all right, 3-goal lead. This should be good in the bag. I forgot they were playing the comeback Oilers, apparently, and I was sweating this game out the final couple of minutes when the Oilers were pressing, man. I thought for sure the Archibald tip, I thought that was going to be a goal. Just the way the momentum of that game was going, that just I thought for sure that was going to go into the back of the net. But ultimately, the Avs able to lock it down and having to do it with their backup goaltender. How about Darcy Kemper? I thought originally he was having a bit of a Luongo situation, a little late to start the second period, but it seems like Avs reporter Adrian Dater was reporting this in the middle of the game, saying that Kemper left with an upper body injury, and he went further and said he's being told that it could be an issue with the eye that he got injured in the first series. against the Nashville Predators. So if that's the case, that's not good news, Dave, for Darcy Kemper.
No, I think Kelly Rudy during the intermission kind of did a good job to break down where he thought the issues were. He took a few shots up high, so this is clearly a situation where you have an injury like that. There's a chance of like reoccurring issues to come up. Whether that's maybe blurred vision. I think it probably like it didn't seem like you couldn't really tell what it was because he wasn't like ailing or favoring anything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's
just
I
kind of
think,
late in the game.
and obviously when the team puts up uh upper body injury, we're only given an upper part of the body to figure out.
Yeah, for
And
sure. Waist up, realistically, it's waist up is upper body, waist down is lower body. I think rarely do you get. Oh yeah, it's a midsection injury. You never get that.
no, it's like it's got something to do with the eyes or got something to do with the head, got something to do with
No,
the
he's got a knee. Yeah, he's got a knee. He's got a groin. Yeah, I know. Remember that one, Babcock? It's like, oh, what's going on with Hyman? Now he's got a knee. Yeah, thanks, Tips. Aware he has a knee. He does have a patella attached to his leg. Yes, you are correct. You want to divulge some more information there, pal? Yeah, but obviously hoping for the best because I think it's a little bit of a different story if it's Pavel Francouz who's the goaltender between the pipes over Darcy Kemper. But I mean, on the other side, Mike Smith, that guy did not look good tonight. Did not look good tonight, and I wonder if there's going to be a conversation if they want to go ahead and put Mikko Koskinen between the pipes because he actually looked like the better goaltender of the two once he got in net.
Well, I mean, we already knew Mike Smith has always been a wild card. The goals he allowed just got plain. He just got beat.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 2-on-1s, the odd man rushes, you kind of give the goalie a little bit of credit. The fact that those are really tough to stop. But how many of them were seeing eye shots that just flat out he just missed?
Yeah. He wasn't good tonight whatsoever. So we'll see if there's a goalie change at some. Typically give him 2 games. We see that happen all the time in the NHL playoffs, and we'll see if they want to go that far and give him 2 games or not. Maybe they make the swap now. We'll see what happens. Obviously, we'll keep our eyes peeled to see if that information comes about in the coming days. But overall, though, like let's get to the main event, the main attractions of this one, and that was like, McDavid versus McKinnon, Cale Makar. What was he going to be able to do? Playing the Robin to McKinnon's Batman. And tonight, I think Cale Makar was the starring role as Robert Pattinson's Batman, a 4-point effort. And that dude's just unbelievable, man. Like, unbelievable. And I couldn't have picked a better day to go out and make a purchase. Did you happen to see what I bought earlier today? I'm going to show the people of YouTube what I bought. And when I saw Cale Makar having a night of his life, 4-point game, a goal and 3 apples, I was so jacked up that I made this purchase today because tomorrow that bad boy's going up. It's a Cale Makar rookie Future Watch patch, or Future Watch auto, sorry, not a patch. It's out of $3.99, and it is a beautiful, beautiful card for Cale Makar rookie auto from SPA. That card's only going to keep going up if he keeps putting on performances like he displayed tonight.
I'm actually going to assume that autograph ones are worth a whole lot more.
Yeah, it's worth considerable amount. Wow, that's not even a word. It's worth considerably more than the regular, just like a raw rookie card. A Young Guns is what they call it for those who are unfamiliar.
It's funny because like I can't remember who it was that told me. Someone once told me that when it's like a rare rookie card, some of them don't like the autographs on it because that considers it not pristine enough condition because obviously the card has been handled and written on.
Yeah, there's like, it's not the true rookie, right? The true marquee rookie when it comes to cards is considered the Young Guns rookie card, and that's kind of the true rookie. And the rest of these are just kind of variations based on what set you're buying at that particular time. So this one's part of SP Authentic. It's still a rookie card because it's from his rookie season, But the reason why these ones are worth more money, usually some people do have that thought process with like, I just want the true rookie and I don't care about the rest. But like I said, these ones are numbered to 399. So there's only 399 of these in the world. Whereas the true rookies, there's thousands of them lying around. So it's more of a supply and demand type of thing. Because if there's 400 people who want this bad boy and a player like Cale Makar, I think there are 400 people who wouldn't mind having this card. You're going to have to bid up and pay for it because there's plenty more guys who want it and not enough to go around. It's simple economics with supply and demand.
It's a very nice card, very nice purchase. I used to be an avid collector of hockey cards.
Yeah.
I kind of got away from it. I collect now. That Tavares photo behind is autographed. I've got an autographed Tavares jersey that needs to be hung up. Mike, you noticed the? I don't,
No, you got them. You put them away. You put them away. You had your Dallas Cowboys jerseys.
Oh my god! I freaking out for a second here because I had an autograph. Oh, it's over on the other side there. My Michael Gallup signed jersey and my Amari Cooper signed jersey.
Nice.
I meant to sign jerseys, which are considerably more expensive than cards.
I don't know about that, pal.
Oh, I don't even want to tell you how much this Tavares print is worth. It's not what I paid for it, but it's worth close to $600.
What do you think this is worth, pal?
I'm the okay. I was gonna guess a couple $100.
No, this card is going for around $800 right now for this little piece of cardboard with ink on it. So, yeah, the cards are expensive, buddy. They're a little expensive, not gonna lie. They're quite expensive, but it's a fun little hobby. But let's get back into the game because at the end of the day, we got sidetracked there. But you know what? Actually, let's take a quick break. And then when we get back, let's dive into the game a little bit, talk about some of the spectacular plays we saw out of the Cale Makar, Nate McKinnon, McDavid. We also got to talk about this goal review where it seemed like 99% of the people thought it should not count as a goal. And then we got the explanation for why it was allowed a goal. And I think it feels dirty to agree. Okay, I guess it counts based on the rule, but I still don't like it. I feel like that's how a lot of people feel about the Cale Makar goal in the final minute of the first period. But we'll get to that in just a moment. Before we do, Dave, I want to tell the good folks about our friends from Rock Auto.
Yes, obviously, with the ever-increasing numbers of makes and models of cars, it's now impossible for you to go to your local chain auto parts store and find all the parts you need. It's hard to keep stock of just everything out there right now. So why endure often pointless or seemingly intimidating questions like which version of the Odyssey do you have? Do you have the LX? Do you have the EX model? And then have to wait for the person behind the counter to check on their computer, only to find out that the brand that you need is something that the warehouse does not have. But guess what? You have a computer with access to rockauto.com and even at home in your pocket with your smartphone. So save time and money when using Rock Auto. You can choose to spend 30, 50, even 100% more for the same part from a chain store or car dealership. Rock Auto is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Rock Auto prices are reliably low for every customer. They have everything you can need: brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, and even a new carpet. Go explore the easy-to-use website today to find solutions to your auto parts needs. So make sure you go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck and write Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box so that you know we sent you there. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need at rockauto.com.
Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. I'm Mike DiStefano. Got Dave Morassutti with me. We're your host here at Locked On Leafs, and we're taking a step back from the Leafs for a quick hot moment to chat about last night's big-time Western Conference game between the Avalanche and the Oilers. Colorado taking game 1 8-6, kind of sneaking away with it, considering how the game ended with it was a 1-goal game in the final minute, and the Oilers were pressing. It was extremely entertaining. The one goal, I guess, that at that point separated the two, you could argue, is the Cale Makar game, goal that was extremely controversial towards the end of the first period. Or are you along with me where it was just a roller coaster on how you felt about that goal? At first, you're like, oh, yeah, Makar scored. Cool. That was an awesome play. What a shot. And then you see the replay and you're like, oh, that's going to come back. Definitely offside. And then once you see the goal become a goal and it was confirmed, what the hell's going on? And then you read a little bit, you start seeing, what they're saying on the broadcast. You're seeing different angles of it, and then you're starting to understand, okay, I guess, yes, this is a goal, I guess, by rule. I hate it. It seems stupid and fishy, but at the end of the day, it counted. It should have counted, and well, you could say it was the difference in this one too.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? When it first happened, it was like, oh, what an awesome shot from Cale Makar. Mike Smith, another kind of iffy goal he allows. And then you see you see that they're challenging it, and we're just like, here comes a pointless challenge for offside. And then you go, oh, that looks offside to me. Actually, I'll pull it up while I talk about it because yeah, I was seeing all the replays. I'm like, oh, this looks like this one's coming back. Even like everyone I was talking is like, oh, this is coming. Like this angle here made it seem like I was like,
right?
this is the front angle.
It happened right here. No, this is the side angle. So from the side
angle from the front
behind, kind of a behind angle that we're looking at right now up on the YouTube for those who are watching. If you're listening, I guess we're just gonna try and narrate it as best as we can. But if you watch it right about here, you can clearly see that the puck is over the blue line and Nichushkin has not yet got himself back over. So originally you're looking and you're saying, okay, yep, that's clearly offside. And then do we have the other angle, the one that's more definitive?
I'll pull it up right now.
The one from up front. Because this is the one that really changed the mind of a lot of people, because from there you can even see, because then the conversation was, well, he didn't touch the puck, right? So that was the rule. He never touched the puck. Not even that one. Not even that one. It was the one from literally from in front of him, directly in front of him, like square to his shoulder.
I couldn't find that angle, but the reason why I like this angle is you can see that, like, as the puck is like before, it's even before the blue line, you can see he lets it off his stick, pushes it into the zone, but doesn't touch it until he sees that Nichushkin is behind him.
Yeah. So for those who are still a little bit confused about why the goal counted, let's just state it this way, I guess. So the way that it works is if Valeri Nichushkin, because it's a delayed offside, as long as the Colorado player is not touching the puck when it enters the zone and doesn't have possession, which you can argue whether or not that's possession, but anyways, didn't touch the puck, and Nichushkin was able to finally, so right here you're watching it, he doesn't touch the puck. Nichushkin not yet over the line, but because it was a delayed offside, the rule is it doesn't get blown down until he touches the puck. So he still hasn't touched it. You can hit play now. And then finally you see Valeri Nichushkin eventually ends up getting over the blue line, and then Makar touches the puck. Yeah. And because, it happened that quickly, and you clearly saw that by the time he fully touched it again after bringing it into the zone, Nichushkin was over the blue line, and it ended up counting. So I may not like it, and I know my old school uncle shot me a note saying how this is a fix on Gary Bettman to never get the cup in Canada again. Look, this is not a fix. I don't think Gary Bettman wants the golden boy and Connor McDavid eliminated on something silly like this. So to me, yeah, they got it right at the end of the day. They didn't rewrite the rule book right then and there. This has been the rule. It just doesn't happen so often, and it's a bit of a different situation. But ultimately, as much as it looks bad optically, they made the correct call. Let me also say this, Dave. Whether or not, like, when we really break it down, Nichushkin being half a foot, even if he had touched it, being half a foot from being back onside had no bearing on the play. Like, regardless, he wasn't involved in the play. Nobody was worried about him. He wasn't pulling defenders toward him. So at the end of the day, whether he was onside, offside, let's say he was a stride ahead, that goal was going to happen, that play was going to happen, and Cale Makar was going to score a goal. So really, when you break it down, it should count anyways. So I'm glad that it did.
Yeah, and I even said to myself that Calgary Flames fans must have had a nice, like that must have felt a little nice for them to see that a review went against the Oilers finally. There's probably also just like must feel a little salty to have a review go against you. I felt like if there was a Flames fan out there, I'd give them a nice little pat on the back saying it's okay. It's okay. You're not the only one.
Right.
But yeah, I just think that that's not a rule. That's not like a play there that I'm like, oh, it was so egregious. I've seen a lot worse get like I think the Coleman one is 1,000 times worse because that was a direct play that had a lot of gray area to it. This one, obviously, yeah, some people obviously don't really know the rule. And once you've understood, and Tim Peel actually did a good job of explaining it too. Came to the defense of his official brethrens there. Once the rule is properly explained, then you're like, okay.
Yeah.
It's still a bit of a dumb thing to have to try to understand. But I'm like, I remember this rule being put into place.
Do we have the Tim Peel? Was it a tweet that he sent out?
Yeah, I can grab that in 2 seconds.
Yeah, why don't we grab the Tim Peel tweet and just quickly read that, and then we can move on. Because I don't know if I did a good enough job explaining it. I'm sure he probably did it a much more concise manner because he's somebody who would have had to talk about a goal like this if it were to have occurred and had to make this decision. So he, more than anybody, a former NHL official, clearly would know the rule book. But I'll also say this. I messaged, I got a buddy who's in the league as a video coach. His job literally during games is to either call down and say, challenge that play, or call down and say, no, that's a good goal. We're not going to challenge it. That is what his job is in game. And yeah, so this
is the explanation. Makar is not touching the puck. When inside the blue line, it gives Nichushkin time to tough. I think to tough up. I think he means to like tag up and nullify the offside. So here's the rule. Thank you, Tim Peel, for bringing up the actual text of it. If an offside call is delayed, as it was in this instance, the linesman shall drop his arm to nullify the offside violation and allow the play to continue. All players of the offending team clear the zone at the same instant, skate contact with the blue line. So that's the important part. Skate, they don't have to actually get out of the zone. They just have to touch the blue line with their skate, permitting the attacking players to re-enter the attacking zone. So having that there, like, I think.
So here's the other part though, because if you go right below it, it says if during the course of the delayed offside, any member of the attacking team touches the puck, attempts to gain possession of the loose puck, or forces defending puck carrier, yada yada yada, the linesman shall stop play for the offside violation. You're gonna tell me that Cale Makar at that point in time is not attempting to gain possession of that puck? Like, that's where I sit here and I'm like, okay, go one rule further. And that does kind of look like he's trying to gain possession. If anything, he does to me have clear possession. He's just not technically touching it because he was just pushing it forward and then going from backhand and getting it onto his forehand. And by lifting his blade off of the puck for literally 0.8 seconds, it just happened to work out where that goal, I guess, stands. Due to the way that the rule is written, I suppose. But that other part about attempting to gain possession kind of contradicts it a little bit too, doesn't it?
In a way, yes. In terms of the, but the thing was, so here's the thing though, and I think this is what they were talking about. Some of them were talking about is that the delayed offside wasn't that long. It was a very quick delayed offside.
Right. So, but that guy had possession, like, basically at the center ice dot, like where the circle of the center ice. He had strides with that puck, and he just happened to not be touching it at the time, but he had possession of it. If you think about, like, Was stick on puck the entire time? No, but he had clear possession, if you would ask me. You know what I mean? Like, it's like when you're dribbling a soccer ball. I mean, it leaves your feet for half a second each time you dribble it. Do you lose possession every single time you're dribbling the ball? So do you only actually, when you tally up possession time, should it really only be like those half seconds that you dribble the ball for? You know what I mean? I know it's different sports, so I'm kind of getting all over the place here with that one. But that part of the rule now kind of confuses me a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Well, we're gonna have to leave it. Maybe we'll hear somebody else. We can maybe I don't know. I'll message somebody at TSN. Maybe I'll message the Bob father, Bob McKenzie,
The
who
Bob father
came.
was totally on board with that call. So
I know he was, and like I said, my buddy who, like I said, is a video coach in the NHL. I asked him the same thing, and he said that's a good call, that's a good goal, and explained to me why. But sometimes things just don't make as much sense as you would hope, or as much sense as you would think, and a lot of it is very gray area, and it's all open to interpretation, and that's how you get these controversial calls, right? Because to me, that looks like he has possession of it, whether or not he's for 100% of the time the blade of his stick is touching the puck, he still has possession, in my opinion, which should also count and nullify it and call that offside. But apparently that's not the way that the rule goes. I didn't write the rule book. I'm gonna have to live with it. What are you expecting for an encore, though, Dave? You think we're gonna get another high scoring affair? I mean, it sounds like we're seeing some of these quotes come out after the game, and Jay Woodcroft, the head coach of the Edmonton Oilers, saying we got to elevate our game, and particularly on the defensive side of things. You think maybe game 2 we'll see a much more subdued score where maybe neither of these two offenses want to make a mistake, and potentially it turns into one of those games where you're a little bit more reserved and you're tightening things up, as opposed to what we saw happen today?
yeah, I'm very curious. Even Cale Makar said like this was not a playoff game. This like
No, it was an exhibition game. Like, it was
yeah, like
ridiculous.
at some point, if you're the Oilers, you're just like, we have to figure out a way to play some sort of defense here. Because, like, yeah, McDavid, they love playing that high scoring. They have no problem with trying to do that. But, like, you can see it in Connor McDavid's face. Like, he's just like, man, we scored 6 again, and we should have won. That's enough to win a game, and we didn't do it.
Yeah. Yep. And you know that he's going to be upset. I haven't seen the quotes come out from him as we're recording this, like directly after the game, but I'm sure he's not too pleased the fact that their offense put up 6 and is coming away with the L. All right, why don't we kind of put a pin in that one? I'm sure we could chat about it again tomorrow ahead of game number 2, which will be going down on Thursday. There's game 1 of the Eastern Conference Final, which will be going down tonight. I got a question in our cosine no sign segment that'll kind of help us tee that game up a little bit. But before we get into cosine no sign, I want to tell you guys about one of today's show sponsors, and that's our friends over at Bet Online. They continue to be the #1 source for all your betting needs and sports information. You can find all the latest odds, news, sport developments, including this year's basketball playoffs, the Stanley Cup playoffs, Major League Baseball scores, and even next season's NFL futures. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. Bet Online, it's where the game starts. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. I'm Mike DiStefano. Dave Morassutti with me. We are hosts here at Locked On Leafs, and I know it was it lacked Leafs talk for the most part in that opening 20-25 minutes or so of the show. But if you stuck around, I appreciate it, because this is our chance to get back into Leafs talk a little bit, because we're going to play one of our favorite segments called Cosine No Sign, Dave. And if it's your first time tuning in, first of all, thank you very much. Hopefully you enjoy the program. We do content Monday to Friday, each and every day. Every morning you'll get a new episode coming out, both via podcast form, wherever you get your podcasts, or on YouTube. We're also sending stuff onto YouTube now as well, each and every day. So you can go and subscribe on both platforms if you'd be inclined to do so. So the way that this game is played, though, is Dave and I will make a statement to each other. If we agree with the statement, we will co-sign it. If we disagree, we will no sign it. Dave, why don't you hit me with the first statement, pal?
I'm going to take a little I didn't listen to the full clip of the show, but I'm going to bring in another Locked On member here. Locked On Devils had an episode come out. Maybe I'll have the link to it. So Trey Matthews, who hosts the show, brought up a particular Leaf free agent as a target for the New Jersey Devils.
Oh.
That is Mr. Jack Campbell.
Okay.
And he's making it known that this is someone that the Leafs could target in free agency. So my statement is Jack Campbell finds himself a new home with the New Jersey Devils in free agency.
The New Jersey Devils. So you're going real specific here.
Yep.
So it's basically New Jersey or the field. This is my choice here.
Well, pretty much, if you're looking at teams that can bring in a guy that need a Jack Campbell, New Jersey is probably top of the list.
Let's see where they're at in terms of money. I'm pretty sure they got a boatload of it, so they realistically, I don't think they'll have any issues.
I think the
bringing
PK
in a guy.
contract is done.
Pardon me.
That PK Subban contract is done.
Yes, that'll be done. They currently they have $25 million in cap space. They do have Mackenzie Blackwood under contract, but I know that is a team who is looking to get better goaltending and potentially a duo of a Mackenzie Blackwood and a Jack Campbell as a tandem.
And
I mean,
John
that looks
Bernier
pretty
is
good.
also still under contract.
Ooh, that's true. They do still have Johnny Burns. So what are they going to do? Go back to the well with a former Maple Leaf again? Blackwood's an interesting roll the dice pick actually for Toronto, if I do say so. To be honest, they also have $2 million in dead cap still that they're giving Corey Schneider. So they're just going to be spending a lot of money at the goaltender position.
Will they set the new mark of? Yeah, they might set the new mark of money spent on goaltending.
Well, they're going to pay Burns 4.1. They're already paying $2 million to Corey Schneider. They got 2.8 awarded to Mackenzie Blackwood, and then if you're going to sign Jack Campbell, we already know that he's looking for $5+ million. That's going to be a lot of money. Now I'm starting to rethink it. That said, that might be a good opportunity for the Leafs to kind of dip into the market and maybe go and try and pry Blackwood from them. A little bit of a swap skis, kind of like Fred Anderson and Peter Mrazek did last year. But I mean, he's 25, so that's interesting. I am going to, I'm going to co-sign it because I think Jack Campbell's probably, when it comes to UFAs, either him or Kemper would be the two top goaltenders out there. Mm-hmm. And I know that they want to address the goaltending position, and they've got the cap space to throw out the type of money that Jack Campbell's looking to get. There's not many other teams that are going to be able to give that guy the contract that he's reportedly demanding. So you know what? I'm going to co-sign it, which also means he's not going to be with the Maple Leafs. And if he decides that he wants to go for the money and he wants to cash in, which is totally his right, I think the Devils would be a pretty good option. Plus he's American, so going back down south of the border, I'm sure wouldn't be too upset with that one. That's a good one. Trey's talking about that. Our boy Trey
was talking about it. That's where I was searching. I was just doing some little research, and I saw Jack Campbell's name.
We're gonna have to get Trey on the show because remember I talked about how we're gonna start bringing in these hosts and doing these mock trade negotiations. There's a couple players on the Devils that I do have some interest in, so we're gonna bring Trey on at some point, host of Locked On Devils, and do that. All right, let me first one for you, Dave. Tonight, game one of the Eastern Conference Final between the New York Rangers and the Tampa Bay Lightning. My first statement to you is Igor Shesterkin will outperform Andrei Vasilevsky in the Eastern Conference Final. Co-sign or no sign?
It's a tough one. It's like there's that line of it's the immovable object versus the unstoppable force. I probably just butchered that line big time, but it's almost like two beasts are going at it, and it's like, okay, King Kong versus Godzilla. Remember that movie?
There you go. Or you could look at it as the best player in the world, Connor McDavid, versus the best team potentially in the world, the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah. So that's what I'm seeing in this, and I think what I see from Shesterkin is that there really isn't any other goaltender that can do what Andrei Vasilevsky has done other than Shesterkin.
Rock versus Hogan. There we go. We found it. It's Rock versus Hogan.
Okay, there we go. That was, by the way, incredible match. Incredible match. Yeah, I would co-sign it because even though Shesterkin has had some dicey games, so has Andrei Vasilevsky. You know,
Yeah,
that
didn't look
that
great
first round
against
series against the
Toronto.
Leafs, like that, there's some games where he did not look very good. He looked very Andrei Vasilevsky like. Shesterkin has looked excellent ever since the Pittsburgh series. Since he got pulled the second time, he has just been on one since then. So I'm gonna go Shesterkin just because he's almost matched what Vasilevsky has done. Um, so yeah, and even if the Rangers lose this series, I still think Shesterkin could outperform Vasilevsky on the stat sheet.
Yeah, this one's so 50-50. Ultimately, I think the Rangers are a little loose. They give up a lot. Igor Shesterkin, you look at like his goal saved above average, like he's the expected numbers. Like the Rangers give up a lot, and Tampa as a team in particular, they convert games that you minute they're taking a mile. I like Tampa. I think that Vasilevsky will come through. So I'm going opposite with you on that one. I'm no signing. I think Vasilevsky's going to be a beast once again in this playoff series. But again, I believe this is going to be an amazing series, man. You got Igor versus Andre, the Shesterkin Vasilevsky showdown. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, second one for you.
Second one for me actually also goes to this series as well, and it's going to be the two Russian forward stars, the Breadman, Artemi Panarin, and Nikita Kucherov. I don't know if you remember the last time these two played in the playoffs. Artemi Panarin had a little bit of fun at Nikita Kucherov's expense in the handshake line. So I'm going to put
the Columbus days.
The Columbus and the Columbus days. So mine for you is it's very similar to the Vasilevsky Shesterkin one. It's just now we're going to go with Panarin and Kucherov, and that Kucherov gets the better of Panarin this time around in the playoffs.
100% cosign. 100%. I mean, Kucherov's the better player. Like at the end of the day, he's the better player. That dude is on a mission right now. The way that he was performing in the second round and had a chance to refuel over the course of this last week, I think he'll be shot out of a cannon in this game. And I think that he will probably be the best forward out there on the ice. So I'm going to co-sign that one, that Kucherov will get the better of Panarin this time around. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this one is a Leafs-related question, Dave. The Toronto Maple Leafs will sign at least one UFA to a deal worth $4 million or higher in AAV.
I'm going to no sign this one, and only because I think they saw the value in getting a bunch of players that come in around that 4 million, 5 million AEV. You saw with Camp, with Kasha, with Richie. You can kind of throw Lyubushkin, although that was a trade. Like they saw value in a bunch of these ones.
Bunting,
Bunting as well. Like I think they see more value in that than just going after one guy, because I still don't think the Leafs are one guy away. They're not. You're seeing how these playoffs, you're seeing how much depth you need to get through to score, especially guys that could put up points. It's hard to find those for less than $4 million each. I get that. But I think there's still value in finding guys below that threshold and getting a bunch of them that can all pretty much match what you can get, what you need from just one guy. You can kind of spread the love a bit.
Would you not be worried that you're just rolling the dice at that point, trying to strike gold again, like you did it last year with Camp, Kasha, and Michael Bunting? But at some point, don't you think you need someone who's got a little bit more juice to them? Someone who's got a little bit more marquee, somebody who has a pedigree in the NHL of scoring goals, of getting, mixing it up. And ultimately, I think for this team to be good, they need to add either a top 6 forward or a top 4 defenseman. It's tough to add those guys for under $4 million. That said, the question was, will they sign one? And there's a potential that they could make a $4 million addition in one of those spots via trade, right? So there is also that to think about. But ultimately, I still think they add. I think that they add a $4+ million asset at some point via trade or free
Yeah.
agency.
See,
I
if you
think they
put it
will.
as a trade, I would have co-signed it, but as a signing,
Yeah.
I just don't see it that way. I just think the Leafs try to dollar in, dollar out has to be the way to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. Good point, David. Okay, third one for you, pal.
The third one for me has to do with we kind of discussed William Nylander a little bit in previous episodes. He's got 2 years left on his contract, but this could be his. I'm going to say this could be William Nylander's final season with the Leafs if they are not able to find success in the playoffs. They're going to give him one last shot.
So basically, I'm co-signing that he will not finish out his current contract with the Maple Leafs.
So yeah, well, okay, how about this? I'll make it a little bit simpler because I think I worded it a little bit awkwardly. William Nylander will return for the Leafs this season. He will not be traded.
Oh, so you're talking about this season. Man. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know what someone's got to go. Like, not for the sake of it, but like you got to give to get. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying somebody has to go just for the sake of it, but a new mix, a new group, someone with a bit of sandpaper, but also has that scoring touch. You know what I mean? The William Nylander we saw overseas. Let's get that guy. Let's go get that guy.
Mhm.
I'm gonna no sign it though. I'm starting to think that we're gonna probably see the band of those guys get brought back together. Jake Muzzin maybe could be the guy who's got some term that could go. Alex Kerfoot's got some money, some cap hit that you could try and free up some money by moving him. Obviously, Peter Mrazek. I'm not sold that they want to move on from William Nylander unless they kind of get an offer that knocks their socks off. So I'm going to no sign it. I'm going to no sign it. I may believe they should make that deal, but I'm not sure they do, which is why I've come to that decision.
Okay. Yeah, I just think that they've tried so hard to make it work with everything that even trading Nylander is admitting that their plan was flawed. And this management group has proven time and time again that they believe in their formula, that they truly believe in that formula. Maybe they look at what Colorado has done and think to that there's something to that. They can make it work somehow if Colorado. I mean, obviously, when you have Nathan McKinnon making what he's making, it kind of hurts that ideology a little bit. But I just think that they look at some of these other teams that have these high end, high skilled players making a lot of money and thinking there's got to be a way for us to make it all work.
Well, imagine having Nazem Kadri signed to a $4.5 million deal.
Oh, well, it won't be after this season.
No, you're right. It won't be, but it was the last couple of years, and they definitely could have used a guy like that in both of those playoff runs. But c'est la vie is what it is. All right, my third one for you, Dave, to finish it up. Wayne Simmonds has played his final game in a Maple Leafs uniform.
No sign.
Like
I just think, yeah, while you want to find someone that maybe is a little more productive in his spot. You just saw Jason Spezza go out the door. You do have Mark Giordano there. I think they want someone like a Wayne Simmonds around. You can't just totally. I understand you don't want to just have that spot for someone that throws punches, but I think maybe Wayne Simmonds got a bit of a wake up call with everything that happened. And you know what? He can put in the right situation. I think he can still provide value for this team as that extra guy. I don't think he should be a staple on the lineup, but I think if he's that extra forward and he's clearly comfortable with it because he would not have signed a 2-year deal.
Yeah.
I just think that they signed him to that 2-year deal as kind of they got a bit of an understanding there. So I think they'll keep him around because unless they waive him, I don't see them trading him because he's got.
No, I think that's the situation, right? Do they waive him and then just say, "Hey, if you don't want to report to the Marlies, like we'll basically retire." Or we can terminate your contract, you can sign elsewhere. Like I could see that being the case. Definitely, I don't think anyone's lining up and calling Kyle Dubas to make a trade to bring this guy in, to give up an asset to do it. But I think that those are the two options. I believe. I believe that there's going to be kind of a new identity on this fourth line. And you can't do that if you bring back a Clifford and a Wayne Simmonds. I know you've moved on from Spezza, but there's still too many pieces there that remain. You got to do the turnover if you want a new identity. So he at best, I suppose, could be the 13th forward, but I'm not as sold as you. Like, I don't think it's definitely not, like, I don't have a strong feeling either way, but I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that this guy is part of the Maple Leafs roster next season as a full-time basis, even as a 13th forward. Like, it could happen. Perhaps it does because he makes next to nothing, like minimum contract. But I'm not as sold that we see it as you, and maybe that's the end of the Wayne train. Maybe it's the final stop was this past season, perhaps.
And it wouldn't surprise me if it is. I just think that that's a tough one, and I think there is some respect still within the locker room for a guy like that, and he does bring something. It might not, and I feel like what at some point too, the Leafs got to make it work. You can't just totally go away from this because other teams can make a Wayne Simmonds a useful part of their roster. We've seen it. Not every team is going to have superstars on all four lines. You need a bit of that different element.
Well, yes and no. I think there's more onus on Simmonds to make it work than the Maple Leafs. I mean, you're putting him out there. That's giving him the keys. It's up to him to rev the engine. You know what I mean? And that's where he's just been unable to do that. It's stalling out on us more often than not at this point.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I just think that unless you're finding somebody that brings what he brings and has that extra ability to put up points too, sure, by all means.
Points. How many points did Wayne Simmonds have this year?
Actually, I could tell you that in 2 seconds because I have his thing here. He had 16.
You don't think you could find a fourth liner who can put up 16 points?
I definitely think you can find a fourth liner that can put up 16 points. I just don't want that fourth liner to be a 5'8" player.
No, God, no. You're changing your identity. You're going to continue to build. You're just going to get basically go out and find a younger version of Wayne Simmonds who can skate and who can still do things, right? Like that's what you're doing. I know Kyle Dubas talked about some guys even filling in internally. Joey Anderson is a player who I think has a potential to elevate from the AHL into the NHL this upcoming season. And that would kind of be the type of player that I'm looking at potentially. And Alex Steves is another guy who had a pretty good AHL season and could make that leap next year coming out of college. 2 seasons ago he was in college, I guess, or actually last year because I think this was his first season of pro hockey. But yeah, I'm just not sold, man. I think Spezza was easy because they just didn't have to renew his contract. It's a little bit more difficult with Wayne Simmonds, but ultimately he's got a no trade, but doesn't have a no move. And if they waive him and say you can decide what you want to do going forward, I think that's also a strong potential. But I could be completely wrong. You could be right. That's why they're our opinions, and we'll see what Kyle Dubas and Wayne Simmonds end up actually doing instead of this theoretical Locked On Leafs land that we're talking about. All right, that's gonna do it for the show today. Fun stuff, Dave, as always. I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe to the Locked On Leafs podcast on all podcasts and platforms and receive daily Maple Leafs and hockey content. Follow myself on Twitter at Mickey_Canuck. Follow Dave at D_Morassutti. Follow the show at Locked On Leafs. Go ahead, smash that like button if you're listening on YouTube. Leave a comment down below as well. Let us know what you're thinking of Wayne Simmonds' future in Toronto. Are you on Team Dave? Are you on Team Mike? And let us know why. We'll be back with another episode tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. But until then, keep it locked right here on Locked On Leafs.